I remember that night like it was yesterday. I was just a teenager, thrilled to be trusted with my first real babysitting job. The Johnsons, a family who had just moved to our small town, needed someone to watch their two kids, Maya and Max, for the evening. Their house, a sprawling old Victorian, was at the edge of town, surrounded by tall, creaking trees. It had an air of mystery to it, but I didn't think much of it at the time. I just thought it was a cool old house. Mrs. Johnson was kind but seemed tired. Her eyes shadowed as she gave me instructions. "The kids are already asleep," she said softly. "Max is in the room to the left, and Maya is in the room to the right. They're usually pretty good, but if they wake up, just make sure they stay in their rooms. They can get scared easily." I nodded, taking in every word. I was excited but a little nervous. Babysitting was a big responsibility after all. As they left, Mrs. Johnson stopped in the doorway and turned back to me. Her face looked almost apologetic. "Oh, and if you hear anything strange, just ignore it. The house is old. It makes noises." I brushed it off with a laugh, and they left, leaving me alone in the quiet, dimly lit house. The first hour passed uneventfully. I sat up on the couch, flipping through channels but finding nothing interesting. I could hear the wind picking up outside, the branches of the trees tapping against the windows. The house did make noises, but nothing unusual, just the groans of old wood settling. Around 9:30 I heard it, a soft, distant humming. At first, I thought it might be a music box or a toy left on, but the sound was too melodic, too precise. It seemed to float through the house, seeping through the walls. I followed the sound up the creaky staircase, my heart beginning to race. As I reached the top, I realized the humming was coming from Mia's room. I hesitated outside her door, listening. The humming was soft but distinct. I slowly opened the door and peeked in. Maya was lying in bed, her eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, but she wasn't humming. She was silent, motionless. The sound seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Mia?" I whispered, stepping into the room. She turned her head slowly, her eyes locking onto mine. "Did you hear her?" Maya asked, her voice a faint whisper. "Who?" I asked, my skin prickling. "The lady," she said matter-of-factly. "She sings to us sometimes." A chill ran down my spine. "What lady, Maya?" Mia didn't answer. She just stared at me, her expression blank. The humming stopped as abruptly as it had started. I checked on Max, who was sound asleep, undisturbed by any of this. I told myself Maya must have been dreaming, but the unease stayed with me. I went back downstairs, trying to shake off the feeling of dread that had settled over me. I was on edge, jumping at every creak and groan of the house. Then, just as I was beginning to calm down, I heard it again. This time, it was a whisper. Faint, almost inaudible, but unmistakable. I strained to listen, my breath caught in my throat. It was coming from the hallway. I stood up slowly and crept toward the stairs, my heart hammering in my chest. As I climbed the steps, the whispering grew louder, more urgent. It was like someone was speaking just out of earshot, their words blurred and indistinct.